you saying that they made an offer to Canelo, I assume it's obviously around the time when you guys were trying to get this deal done, for Errol Spence to have fought him for $45 million and 164. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, wasn't it? No, but it was a two-fight deal, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Charlo.
Charlo beforehand.
Who has Charlo ever fought? You don't know, do you?
I do, but I'm waiting for...
Tell me Charlo's best wins.
I'm on the spot now. I don't like being on the spot.
Because I'll tell you, no notable victories. Charlo is like... So... I mean, I actually think he's a decent fighter. But when is Charlo going to fight anyone? Anyone? He has not done anything to warrant a fight with Canelo Alvarez. And that fight would be a voluntary defence of Canelo Alvarez's 168-pound title. What title can Canelo Alvarez take from Charlo? I repeat, who has Charlo ever beaten to warrant a fight with Canelo Alvarez? Errol Spence at 164. Canelo's never fighting below 168. Never again. Also, a voluntary dispute. Like, he likes going in there and taking titles off people. Look at his run. Take Yildirim out the mandatory. Daniel Jacobs, he took his IBF World Middleweight title off him. Sergey Kovalev, he took his WBO light heavyweight title off him. Callum Smith, after that, took his WBA Ring Magazine title off him. Billy Joe Saunders, he took his WBO title off him. Caleb Plant, he took his IBF title off him. And now Dimitri Bivol for the WBA light heavyweight championship. This is what Canelo Alvarez does. He likes to make history. He'll fight all those guys. You know that. He don't care. He'd fight Usyk. We talk about that. Worried about fighting Charlo at middleweight. A middleweight who's never beaten anyone. I mean, these people get very soppy and sooky because they signed a one-fight deal. He went over, he beat their champion, and he came back. But don't worry, after 3 fights, maybe he'll fight another one of their guys.
Those are the words of Eddie Hearn as he, in his own way, blasts Jermall Charlo and asks who Jermall Charlo has actually beaten. Let me counterpunch. You know what he said about Canelo is it's not a lie. Canelo has been doing that a long time. And it started at middleweight. When he left the Canelo weight that he made up, which was bullshit, but he left that weight, that catch weight, and he went to 160. He did fight Golovkin. But before he did that, he fought Julio Cesar Chavez at a catch weight at 164. Then he fought Golovkin, had a draw. Then he fought Golovkin again, beat Golovkin. After that, I think he went to then 168 with Rocky Fielding. Then went to 175. Then went back to 168, I believe. No, or was it 160? Then he fought Danny Jacobs, or was Danny Jacobs at 168. Then he fought Jacobs and beat Jacobs. Then he beat the shit out of Yildirim, and then people wondered what is that from? But that was kind of the only missing link. Everybody else was at 168. That was game. Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant. All of those guys were undefeated. All of those guys were champions. Okay, and what Eddie's saying is, this is what he's saying. Errol Spence has nothing to offer Canelo Alvarez at 168. He has nothing to offer. He's saying Canelo's going to these places because they have something to offer him. That's why he's fighting him. That makes all the sense in the world. Kovalev, Smith, Saunders, Plant. Okay, these guys had something. Now, to be fair, let's look at Jermall's resume. Okay, Hugo Centeno Jr., okay, 27-0. A lot of people thought he got beat by Matt Karabov, to be fair. You know, I think that was a very close fight. Brandon Adams, no. Dennis Hogan, really, no. Sergey Derevyanchenko. Now, I think Sergey Derevyanchenko was probably the best on his record, and that was a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, okay? And you're talking about somebody that is 36 years old. So at that time, he might have been 35. So he was 35 years old at that time. Okay, so, or 34. But, that was probably the best person on the resume. Okay. As far as that goes, and that went 12 rounds. Juan Macias Montiel was 12 rounds. Makai Sulecki. Okay, these are decent fighters, but there's no name on there that really sticks out. He has no marquee name. He doesn't even have like guys like Chris Eubank or Demetrius Andre. Those are guys he should be fighting. Caleb Plant. Hell, take on David Benavidez. They almost got in a fist fight at a fight recently. So why not? Why not see that? Why not have that? So, it's a lot of fighters that he did not, a lot of fighters he did not fight and beat. He fought Austin Trout and J. Rock Williams. That was that was an impressive knockout. So that was one of his impressive knockouts, but they're far few in between. Okay, so he needs a premier name. And it's hard to really bash Canelo because Canelo's done so much in the sport. He's cleaned out a whole division. And for them to be pissed off about him going where he pleases, that's the beauty of doing what you want to do. See, if you hold someone down for that fight and this, that, and the other, that's what Oscar De La Hoya tried to make Canelo Alvarez do. He tried to make him sign something to do what he wanted him to do because, it was like some kickback somewhere. It wasn't really all out in the open, and Oscar wasn't really honest with him. See, now Canelo can do what he wants to do. Those fights were offered to Canelo Alvarez, but at what comparison to what? What he's doing now, his 2-fight deal with DAZN. Yes, it's a new structured deal. You think he's not making money doing that shit? This ain't that Deontay Wilder DAZN versus that Fox shit. This is not that. Okay? Everybody's like, oh, well, he was doing this and he was doing that. But again, they had to come up to fight him. He wasn't coming down. He wasn't coming to fight Errol Spence for his 3 belts or his 2 belts. That wasn't the case. Errol Spence would have to move up being the B side of the equation. Okay? Who else was it? Either David Benavidez or whatever, which wasn't a champion. And again, he didn't have anything to offer Canelo. Jermall Charlo, again, Jermall Charlo would have to go up because Canelo's not going back to 160. He's just not. He's not going to 160. So I think what they should do is understand that. This is what it is. He's not going back to 160. So they have to move up. But the thing is, them offering him that money, yeah, it seems good, but it doesn't really warrant anything that he can gain in return but the money. The man's already filthy rich. So he wants to make history. He wants to get straps, and there's no straps to obtain by fighting those guys. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn's comments and statements. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!